Welcome everyone to Bonifabcustom. Today we're going to be looking at how to repair this single-sided swing arm from a Ducati. Let's get right into the build. So we're going to take a little closer look at this broken swing arm. You can see it tore right off. There's a crack right here inside this casting. No cracks that I can see here. And on the other part of the swing arm, we see it got hit here a little bit. There's no cracks inside. The actual brace is not cracked, but it is bent up a little bit. So before I can put these parts together or weld them together, I need to make sure that the axle is exactly 90 degrees to where the rear axle is going into the rim. And to do that, I have to make a mock-up axle that I can put onto a jig or onto my jig table, and then I can set up the rear part close to where it's supposed to be at 90 degrees or perpendicular to the rear axle. So I'm going to make up an axle and then we're going to get this set up. So now for the base part, or the part that goes onto the frame, I made this shaft that lines up with the two bearings, the top one and the bottom one, or the left and the right. And I put it on my granite surface plate, which is perfectly flat. And what I did was, I bolted down the axle, so the axle is perfectly perpendicular with the table. And then I took my indicator and I actually ran the indicator across this part here to make sure that it was parallel with the surface plate. So now I know that it's in the right position. I also measured with this angle plate. So this is a granite angle plate, which is perfect within a couple of tenths squareness. And I measured from the plate to the shaft all the way up and made sure that was perfectly square with the table. Now that I have that and I know that works, I'm going to take this off and I'm going to have to grind and chamfer all around where that broken part is. I'm going to have to clean all that, and I'm also going to clean a little bit of the outside because I'm going to put some pieces on the inside that are going to be welded from here all the way across that crack. So now you can see how I really chamfered it, cleaned up all the metal, cut into the crack, getting it prepped so I can get some full penetration with the welds all the way around. Plus, I cleaned up this area because I'm going to be putting a plate or a couple of plates inside and welding them from the outside in. Okay, now I ground the main part here, and you can see how I put a chamfer on it. Got that ready. I also ground my thumb at the same time. Be careful when you use a grinder. And you can see that's going to fit something like that. But we're going to put some reinforcement inside here. Now, the way to do that is I drill some holes on both sides. I'll be putting 2 on here across, and a bigger one on the front, just 1, and I'm going to drill some holes for that. So I'm going to grab my marker, and basically I'm going to put a hole here, and a hole somewhere inside the swing arm here, so I can get a piece that's behind here, and I can weld it right through here. And on the opposite side, I'm going to be putting a couple of holes here, and probably, if I can get it as far as here, and there'll be a a piece behind here that's going to be welded from the inside, well, from the outside to the inside. And once that's done, well, I'm going to put the pieces in. I'm probably going to tack them in place, make sure that it fits in. And then I'm going to put it down, square everything up, and start tacking the outside before I start doing a full weld. Okay, so I put the shaft on the fixture table and it's mounted in there. And what I did was I double checked it with my granite square, which it's perfectly square. Okay, all the way around, looks great. Now I can place my arm inside this fixture and get it ready to just like that. And I'll indicate this, check it, and start putting in my connection pieces. Okay, so now I have it pretty much set up in there, and you can see I put up a bunch of precision blocks and parallels to make sure that this part here, the back part, is parallel with the table and square to the back axle. Okay, and you can kind of see now, because this was like a crashed swing arm, that there was a little bit of a twist in it, and this is how you would tell, because now it's on a fixture table and everything's square, and because I ground it and I'm trying to fit it together, you can see that how small of a gap there is here. And if I look at the back, it starts to get bigger here. And that's because the arm could have been a little twisted in this section here, either when it crashed or whatever hit this and broke this off. It caused that gap there now. So before we can weld this, now we're going to be putting in some pieces in here, so I'm going to bend those up and get them ready. But before I weld a gap like this, we're going to have to fill that gap or put some aluminum inside to cause it not to squeeze in and twist again. So we're going to have to make sure that it physically can't close with after I weld it in place. All set up on the jig again, and now I'm going to tack it up, and I put some wedges inside there where the spaces are bigger just to make sure it doesn't move much. So I'm going to preheat it and then tack it in various places, and then I'll check it again to see if it moved. So there you have it. The swing arm, the Ducati swing arm is all fixed up. Looks really nice. The weld came out really good and it should be really strong. I got some good penetration with that TIG weld on this cast and the parts that we put in to reinforce the swing arm. Now it's never going to be 100% because from factory it will be perfect and we're fixing a broken off cast part. But thanks again for watching Bonifabcustom as we repaired this Ducati swing arm. And don't forget to subscribe and push that button for notifications for more videos like this and fabrication. And we'll see you next time on Bonifabcustom.